This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 740 with the former basketball athlete Vernon Hamilton. He played in the NBA and he played for Clemson College. He also played overseas, and now he's transitioning into a coach. He's a coach, assistant coach now at LSU University, and he also spent time with the Dallas Mavericks as a coach too. So I'm really looking forward to this interview. First of all, we finally made this happen, and thank you for joining us today. How are you and your family doing so far?
Family's doing well. I finally have some time now that the season's over to get back to spend some time with them. I spent last week with my niece and nephew, so that was nice.
Yeah. So for you, I want to start off with your playing career and your journey. And for you, while growing up, when did you start realizing that you wanted to get into sports and play sports? And did you play any other sport before deciding on basketball?
I did. So I've been playing basketball my entire life. That's something that obviously was, something that was introduced to me at a very young age, but something that I immediately fell in love with. I was fortunate enough to receive also multiple football scholarships in high school. I had more football scholarships than basketball. I was an all-state wide receiver and all-state cornerback in the state of Virginia. And the Notre Dame came to my high school, sat in my office, tried to convince me to go the football route. But at the end of the day, basketball had my heart, and that's where I felt most comfortable being.
So obviously, in like after your high school career, obviously you chose Clemson, but was there any other offers that was on the table, and what made you choose Clemson?
So I knew my entire life that I wanted to play in the ACC. At that time, the ACC was one of the bigger conferences in basketball. Now, there are other conferences that, people aspire to play in, like the SEC here at LSU. But at that time, I wanted to play against Raymond Felton, Chris Paul, John Gilchrist, Tyrese Rice, Chris Duhon, a lot of NBA guys. So that's where Clemson came into play. It was also relatively close to Richmond, Virginia, where I grew up. And that's how I ended up at Clemson.
Wow. So for you, explain to me, obviously, it's kind of weird. Is it? Let me ask you this: is it weird wearing an LSU color and when you went to Clemson?
When I first got here, I got ridiculed a lot for transitioning in over to LSU because obviously both both universities are Tigers, both well-renowned football and basketball programs. But I'm really happy here at LSU. I love it.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, explain to me your time at Clemson as a player and what did you learn as a college player, and also the atmosphere. Clemson is a heck of a college to go to, and especially football and basketball. So what was it like just playing in front of those fans and compete, like you just said, competing against Chris Paul, Raymond Felton, Chris Duhon, all those talented point guards? So what was it like?
It was a wonderful experience. Clemson's fan base is, amazing. They did a great job supporting our basketball team. At that time, basketball and football were both kind of on the rise, but, neither one had really quite taken off yet. And towards the end of my career there, both programs had really, turned around and, started to have a lot of success. But, again, it was, night in, night out, playing at Duke, playing at Carolina, playing against, highly respected coaches like Mike Krzyzewski and Roy Williams, guys that, were there when I played, and then to see them retire shows me actually how long I've been, kind of doing this now. But it was awesome. Kevin Nickelberry, who's one of our assistants here, he recruited me to play at Clemson. Will Wade was on that staff as well. So that's where that relationship comes from. The head coach here at LSU, it's crazy how it comes back around. Right?
That's awesome.
Like, we went from, like being recruited by them to now working on the staff with them. And that's just a testament to them, pretty much keeping their word and saying like, hey, when your playing days are over, we'll still be around to support you. And, that was amazing.
See, the one thing I like about your story is you have like the underdog mentality. That's what I love about players. They come from it's not all about the fame. It's all about where they came from and how hard they worked. And you worked hard in your career. And yeah. So for you, what's it like to have a person that believed in you from day one? And obviously, you work with him now, the person who recruited you. So what was it like to have him, the type of person that believed you in from day one?
I mean, it's such a great feeling, just because primarily, you know that they, have known you for a long time, and they've seen your work ethic. They've seen how hard you work, and they understand the value that you could bring to a program. Like Will knows, like I wasn't one of those guys that was, a first round draft pick, or, one of those guys who, I was heavily recruited out of high school, but I wasn't like, top 10 or top 20, you know what I mean? But I was somebody who was determined to make it work. And by doing so, I think that's how I ended up having the success that I've had throughout my career. I always had to outwork, outcompete. My preparation, everything was always just, I had to work twice as hard as the next person.
Hmm. So I want to ask you. Obviously, you went undrafted, and take me back. How tough was it just sitting there waiting for your name to be called, but you didn't get drafted? And what did you take from that process? And obviously, you got the opportunity to play in the NBA too afterwards.
I did. Europe was good to me. Draft night, you're sitting there. I had great workouts with Washington, with Dallas, with Philly, and Cleveland. And when I first came out of college, I was like, man, like, one of the guys who I saw get drafted, I had him matched up in a workout. And I honestly felt like I had outplayed them. But, just like everything else, there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of, things that go into, teams making a decision to take who they were going to take. And it was something that, I had to live with, but it also made me want to work harder. So I spent that first year over in Germany, in Ludwigsburg. And, even that was such a transition. It was different. I had never been out the country prior to, leaving to go play, after college. So this is my first time overseas. So a different language, different lifestyle, but it made me want to hurry up and get back. And then that's the second year when I started in Japan. That's when Cavaliers reached out to me and got me out that. And then, I ended up joining the Cavaliers and, for that '09 preseason.
So obviously, explain to me what was the experience like playing overseas first? You took a different route playing overseas in Europe and also in Japan. So what was that process like, and then the adjustment period there, and or obviously learning all the languages and obviously and in the city and the food and everything else that's part of the moving thing. So
It is. It is. I signed with a really good agent
yeah.
fresh out of high school. That's really key. That's important. As far as your representation. So when I had, found that, the type of agent I wanted to sign with, he was someone who put me first, someone who, knew my priorities, knew the perfect region to put me in to start my career, because he knew my path and my, in order to get to where I wanted to be, which country was best for me to play in. And that's where I ultimately ended up in both of those. And, I had a wonderful experience overseas. I know that's not always the case, but for me, culturally, I learned a lot. I felt like I got to see a lot of places in the world. I mean, I was in Germany, Turkey, Dubai, Switzerland, Italy, Australia, South Korea, China. I played in the CBA, with legends like Stephon Marbury and Sonny Williams, those
Yeah.
guys.
Wow.
I've had a lot of success over there. I was really happy, to say that. Sometimes I'll be on a plane and people will be like, they'll be more fascinated with the fact that, I played in those countries than I played with LeBron James. You know what I mean? It just depends, culturally, the type of person you're sitting with, you know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff that, that I enjoy.
Yeah, Stephon Marbury is still in China. He's still he
He is. Steph is, man. He's doing that coaching route now. Steph's a good guy, though.
yeah.
I played against him a couple times, and I'd never really had a close relationship with him, but I was in LA one time eating at Katana, and he walked up right to me, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "You had a great year in China," and then we just started talking. So, my little bit of time with Steph was good.
So would you say that playing overseas is a different style from the NBA a little bit? Because I had a lot of players that played overseas too, and in the NBA too. But for you, would you say it was how different was it for you when you played in the NBA and overseas?
As far as from a playing perspective and style, the pace isn't quite as fast. Obviously the NBA, there's a lot more possession, so it's a lot more up and down. The spacing in the NBA is obviously, a lot better because they don't, overseas, they don't have defensive 3 seconds. So you can have a huge guy just sitting in the paint for, the entire possession, just clogging up the paint. Meanwhile, NBA, that's how guys have their space and the ability to get to the rim and drive. And that's why someone like Luka Doncic says, like, the game came even easier to him in the NBA than it did in the EuroLeague. And that's just because of spacing. And obviously the talent around it. You surround yourself with shooters in both corners and everybody can make plays. It comes pretty easy.
Yeah. So I got to ask you about your Cleveland experience, and obviously how grateful are you that they gave you the first opportunity to start your NBA career, and obviously you got to play LeBron on that team, right? So
I, I did. It was great. Mike Brown
yeah,
really took a shot with me. I had to earn it though. He asked me to come up to Cleveland about 2 weeks before training camp started, and it was between me and another guy, and he was just like, "Listen, I'm not sold on who it is that I want to give this, roster spot to, and if you can make a name for yourself and do it, then I'll do it." John Custer was a huge mentor of mine. He was an assistant coach at the time with the Cavaliers. He was a graduate of Benedictine High School like myself, so he was very familiar with me. So my main thing was to go in there and do what I do, just outplay him, work as hard as I can, do the things both on and off the court that would give me an advantage. And that's how ended up going for me. I mean, obviously, playing with LeBron is something you'll never forget. My friends had a chance to meet him and, see me work out with them. And,
wow.
So it was a wonderful feeling for
So
sure.
yeah, so explain to me what did you learn as an NBA player, and especially in Cleveland, playing with a great player like LeBron, and also you had other great players on that team too. So that team was kind of loaded. And for you, what was it like just seeing LeBron go the way about his business in the locker room, off the court, on the court? He's a good family man, family person, obviously,
Absolutely.
and obviously seeing him continue his legacy in LA now. So what was it like just seeing him playing with him as a teammate and learning from him? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear?
Sorry, I had lost you for a second.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now I can. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think I heard the majority of the question
Yeah. So
before I had lost you. I
mhm.
think it's work ethic. That summer they had previously, got an Olympic medal, and I remember him bringing that into the locker room and just talking about, how much went into that. He's someone who people don't understand. Like, he goes into late June every year. I mean, he's going to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. He's going to get to the finals. So he's not just playing 82 games. He's playing 100 plus, and then he'll go in and give it all he has to try and win a gold medal and play in the, for the Olympic team as well. He did that for a stretch, and he takes extremely good care, works hard. So I learned a lot, a little bit of my time there, including, you know, the understanding of, hey, like, it doesn't take but for one team to like you. I mean, all 28 other teams in the NBA can pass on you, but if one likes you and sees some value in you, that's all it takes to make a career in the NBA. So that was some advice that I always keep with me, in all aspects of life. It doesn't always have to be perfect, but in the right situation, in the right time, you can make that work.
Hmm. So before we get to your coaching career, what would you say your most memorable game that you played at Clemson, overseas, and in the NBA too?
Most memorable one in Clemson. It's a tough one because we actually lost it, but at Cameron Indoor, we were down 5 with about 7 seconds to go. Oh, excuse me, about 13. And I know I think it's still on YouTube. I got a steal and got to the basket and cut it to 3.
Wow.
Greg Paulus cut the wrong way. Josh McRoberts accidentally threw the pass to me, and I hit the 3 with like no time left to tie the game in Cameron. So that was probably that. And then I had 31 on Duke at home at Clemson.
Wow.
That was a good night. So put that on JJ Redick and some of those guys. That
Oh
was
man. How about the NBA and overseas?
I think versus the Celtics, that was probably my most memorable game. I just remember how competitive and how much trash Kevin Garnett talked. It was kind of late game. Coach Brown let us finish it out in the preseason, and KG was like, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? Every possession mattered. Like, I remember he gave me a hard foul. I had scored my first points versus them, so that's gonna always be the most memorable time.
Hmm.
And then what was the other one?
Overseas?
Overseas. Just I remember being in Turkey and like some fans like throwing coins from the stadium or batteries, like stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're super competitive. They got their band, they got their cheers. Like Like they had to stop the games. Maybe a fight broke out in the stands, but it always calms back down. But those teams are just that competitive. You know what I mean? When they get together, and they play against each other, it gets rowdy. But it's a great feeling. I mean, there's no harm or nothing like that. It was just that competitive in those countries.
So now, obviously, after your playing career, now you're a coach. So take me to your first opportunity when you got the chance to coach, and I want to ask you about your Dallas Mavericks first opportunity. What was that like working with the Mavericks? And obviously, Dirk Nowitzki was still there when you were there. So what was it like working with him and seeing him? Obviously, a great player.
Another guy, just who nobody has any idea how hard he works. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. Dirk is a great guy. And people don't understand how funny he is. Like Dirk is probably one of the most funniest people I've ever been around. Like great comebacks, great jokes, just constantly kept the environment like, in a great space. So obviously I really enjoyed my time working in Dallas. Coach Carlisle, excellent X and O coach, excellent players coach, really gets it. The entire organization from Mark Cuban to Rick Carlisle to that time, everyone who was on that staff, and just even seeing Coach Malone. They did a great job of scouting, great job of drafting, great job of putting the right pieces together. It's one of those programs is run so professionally. Like they don't, allow guys to slack off. They treat it like a business. Like you're gonna come here and work, you're gonna do what you do, and you're gonna get better. And that's, I think, one of the biggest reasons for, why I was able to carry over a lot of the stuff I learned there here to LSU.
So, so obviously,
and I was fortunate because I had.
It keeps. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, it keeps lagging for some reason. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying that the reason why Dallas also for me was a great fit. Larry Shyatt was one of Rick Carlisle's assistants. Larry Shyatt was my head coach at Clemson University. And then I also had Mike Malone and other people on the staff that I had knew at previous stops from when I played. So it was like a family environment. I've been very lucky in the coaching aspect to work for coaches that I've played for. Even by chance. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Like you said, it comes full circle. So
it does.
So this is a two-part question. So the first one, obviously, what's it like now coaching these players, these athletes, these especially college athletes, and seeing and then sharing your story as a player and relating it to that now being a coach, and what's it like to seeing the game from a different aspect from the sidelines now, and also did you ever consider staying in the NBA before going to LSU?
I did. Definitely opportunities were there. Coach Wade and I have a close relationship, and I just felt like that genuine connection there. And it's just something about coaching in college where you still feel like you can have an impact on these kids' lives. You know what I mean? Like, not that you can in the NBA. I mean, I'm extremely close with everybody who was on the Mavericks. I talk to them all the time, from Dorian Finney to Dennis Smith Jr. You know what I mean? So all those guys on the regular, but just having that impact in college and knowing that, like, hey, there were a couple things that I could have done different in college that would have helped me, have a longer career or been more prepared for stuff outside of basketball that I feel like I can help these guys with. And that's been probably the most rewarding part for me thus far. And it's tough. As days I miss playing for sure. But, we've had a lot of talent this year. I mean, we got multiple guys that will have opportunities to play at the NBA. We had 3 of our starting 5 were on all SEC teams, and one of them obviously should have been on it as well. But I think that, it was one of those things where it was like, all right, you guys got 3 of them. You know what I mean? We can't put y'all's whole team on the all SEC team, but they're all great guys. They all can play. We had a freshman who led the SEC in scoring, was top 4 in the nation in scoring. We had Trendon Watford, who was a McDonald's All-American, who put up, 30 and 10 and played like 162 of 166 possible minutes in the SEC championship game. We had Javonte Smart, who just was our glue, who, kept our team together, who was by far, my opinion, and not the best point guard in the SEC. And any team that drafts him is going to be lucky to take Javonte. He can play. The kid he's special. I think he's a little bit like me at times, like, overlooked. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, he can play. He's special. And he'll adapt to the NBA very well.
Hmm. Speaking of Dallas assistants, I also had Dow Armstrong on the show last year.
DA.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
it was an honor speaking to him, and obviously you were on the same staff with him, right? Yeah.
Yeah. He's a funny guy. DA's great at what he does, man. He gets those guys better, and
Yeah.
while doing, he's gonna have a good time. And he's is great at balancing both basketball and just life, and making them come together. Like, hey, it's serious, but it's also something that enjoy it. Like, it's not gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why you got to make the most of each opportunity.
Yeah, so I want to ask you your experience now as in LSU as assistant coach, and obviously, like you said, you just mentioned some of the talent you guys have. And I want to ask you though, in this year's March Madness, what was the experience like? And obviously, under different circumstances, and what did you guys learn from it as a team from the past year when the sport shut down and then the March Madness got canceled last year too. But what was it like this experiencing this March Madness in a bubble situation?
The bubble was, it was well organized by the NCAA. They did a great job of, allowing us to even have a tournament. So first, we got to be thankful for that. That was the most important thing. Just be able to play, because these guys deserve it. They need the most amount of exposure as possible. They need to be able to play on that big stage and get that feeling. So we arrived straight from the SEC tournament. We had to quarantine for about 2 days before we could even practice. COVID test every day at a certain time.
Wow.
Not like, an intense one, you know what I mean? And, at that point, we had a good draw. We were able to play St. Bonaventures in the first round. They won the A10, both regular season and A10 championship. So, that was a tough draw in the first round. Then from transition playing, then we had number 1 seed Michigan, which we had to lead the majority of the game. I mean, we were up 8-10, in different stretches throughout the game. And, unfortunately, in about the last 4 minutes of the game, things unraveled a little bit. But, we still managed to, make it a very good game. And it was definitely a very winnable game for us. It's one that, a lot of people didn't think that we would match up with them as well as we did, but we did.
Yeah, and I've seen when you guys are in the tournament, I've seen both of your games, and you guys played hard. And your team is, you can't take this team for granted. You guys will be back in the tournament, in my opinion, and with all the talent you have, and obviously you're gonna have some players leave for the draft too. But it's all about recruiting, and I think when it comes to LSU, I think people want to come here and play. So it's gonna be fun to watch for you guys in the next coming years. And my next question is, what did you guys learn though as a team from the past year when the sport shut down, and how tough was on your players that they had nothing to do but still train at their houses? And did you guys do like weekly Zoom calls?
We have, with our players and touch base with them, as far as still what we're going to plan to do over the course of the week, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's workouts, stay on top of what they're doing academically. But it was tough. Some of those guys, fortunately, the NCAA did grant them the opportunity to have that year back, so they didn't lose it completely. But if you were a senior, last year and your season was cut short because of COVID, I mean, there's a lot of basketball left. A lot of players get discovered in postseason and NCAA tournament, and fortunately enough for us, we learned the value of taking each game at a time, being thankful to being able to play, and we're a special team. LSU will continue to get talent. We'll continue to develop our talent, and we have a lot to look forward to. Our returning players are very talented. All top 100 kids who can play. Just on a couple of them were playing behind guys who are a year ahead of them or so, who are looking to get drafted. So they had to wait their turn, but that'll be their turn now, and they'll show out when it's time. I believe in those guys.
Yeah. So I want to ask a couple more things here before we let you go. So I want to ask you about the head coach of this team, and obviously how underrated is the head coach here at LSU, and whoever doesn't know about him, explain to the people who the LSU coach is and how underrated he is and how hard he works with this team.
Yeah, so nobody works harder than Will Wade. I have texts on my phone from Coach Wade that 4 a.m., 2 a.m., 5 a.m., with an idea, with a, offensive set that he saw. Hey, what do you think about this? You think this would work for our guys? When I walk in at 7:30, he's already in a full drench because he's
Wow.
ran his 4 miles for the morning. He's in front of his laptop breaking down film. And, he's just preparing days and days ahead. Will works hard. I think that, some of the, things that have come up recently, have overshadowed exactly what we're really doing here. We're building character. We're shaping these guys, for what's next after basketball. And they're getting a great experience. We all care about them. Everyone who I coach knows my phone's available to them around the clock. At any point, whether they want to get in the gym, they need to talk about something, we do that. And, anytime you're winning and you have a lot of success and, you're able to get kids out of like Alabama, like a Trenton Watford, you can go get a guy like Darius Days from Florida and IMG, out other SEC schools' backyards, it tends to cause a little bit of attention. Trenton's a 5-star McDonald's. He's from Alabama. Alabama's expecting to get him, but that's not how that went. So as far as for us, that's where we pride ourselves in being able to go into other states and talk about what we do. And Coach Wade, what people don't understand, he's the winningest coach in the last 3 years in the SEC. Not Kentucky, not Bama, not Florida, not Tennessee, not Georgia, not Missouri, LSU. We are the winningest program in the SEC in the last 3 years. So that's a testament to the job that he's done. For him to get here 4 years ago and then get to win in 2019, win the SEC championship, and then get to the Sweet 16 and then finish in the top 3 in the SEC the last 3 years. I think LSU has done an excellent job. We have our support staff is great, from our athletic director, our associate ADs to the LSU family. Like, they most support. So that's what I love about it.
So before we get to the last 3 things, I want to ask you, obviously, Roy Williams just announced his retirement at North Carolina, and what a great career he had. He's a GOAT, Hall of Famer for sure. And Herbert Davis is going to take over there now. And what's it like? How weird is it going to be not seeing Roy Williams anymore in college basketball?
It's going to be very different, Roy, he brought a lot of talented players through there. A lot of first-round picks, a lot of McDonald's players. Herbert Davis has been with him for a long time. So I think if it was anybody to take over the wheel after Roy, I think Herbert, is the right fit. And it'll be different. These coaches are getting older. I think about it. They were relatively older when they recruited me, and now I'm getting old. So it's sad to see, but they put their footprints in these programs and allow them to have the success they had, and they'll just continue to do well.
So for yourself, obviously you're still assistant coach and you love LSU, but if the right opportunity comes up for you, would you consider being a head coach in college or in the NBA if the right opportunity comes?
I absolutely would. I think, anyone who gets in this business, they have an idea of where they see themselves and, like a 5-year trajectory. And for me, mine is becoming a head coach. I love what I do now. I love working for Coach Wade. And, I love the role that I'm in now. And, I wouldn't just take any opportunity because I am that happy here. It'd have to be the right one, but it's still a lot to learn. And I'm working underneath a coach who, honestly, X and O wise and defensively, is probably one of the best coaches you can learn from. And his ability to relate to his players, as well as his ability to be able to recruit. I'm just like a sponge right now. I'm just taking all this in now, and I hope to carry it over to, when I start my own program. Will and Shaka both were my assistants at Clemson when I played. So, I've been around a lot of, talented guys. Will and Shaka worked together at VCU. They had their success, their Final Four. And then, Will took the right path that was correct for him, from being a head coach to Chattanooga, head coach to VCU, head coach to LSU. So those are some things that I hope happen for me one day.
Oh, Shaka Smart was he was on the coaching staff when you were at Clemson?
He was. Shaka recruited me. Yeah. He started as the Dobo. And a lot of people don't understand. Will Wade was actually the manager on the basketball team. He's only 2 years older than me. So I'm 36, Will's 38. So when I first got to Clemson, Will was in charge of making sure our jerseys were ready, our, workouts workout stuff was
That's
organized.
crazy. Wow.
And then, like I said, it comes around full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went from putting my jersey in my locker to being a very successful coach in college basketball.
Damn. So like Shaka Smart, I mean, he's a heck of a coach too. He just got a job at Marquette, so good for him. Congrats to him at Marquette. And Marquette is going to they're getting a good, great coach. And I don't know why Texas gave up on him, but Marquette is getting they're getting a heck of a coach. But for you, so the last three things here, what would you tell recruits about LSU? And obviously, you guys have a nice campus, and I love your background there with the jersey, the Nike symbol. So
Yeah.
so what's your what would you say to recruits that want to come here?
I mean, I think it comes down to, what I said, we're the winningest program in the SEC in the last 3 years and the direction we're going in. I mean, not only will you come here and get a good education, but, if basketball is what you're looking to do full time, we're going to make that happen. We're going to get you to the NBA. That's what we pride ourselves on. We get guys to the league. We get them their degree. If that's the route, we're going to put them in a position to be successful. And we're gonna get into the NBA. I mean, right now I'm currently in our basketball offices. My office is over there, Coach Wade's, Bill Armstrong's, Kevin Nickelberry. And, we also understand that there's life after basketball. Tasman Mitchell, he had a great career. He was on the Final Four team at LSU. He's an assistant here now. When he finished playing, got him a job. Will Wade, I played underneath him, and then turned around. So, we don't just have you come play for us, and then when you're done, you don't hear from us, and, there's not something there for you in the future. No, we're going to continue to be there for you throughout life. And I think that's important. And, as we have on the wall, it's a tradition of excellence. We have a national title, 4 Final Four appearances, 9 first-team All-Americans, two National Players of the Year, like Ben Simmons, 11 SEC championships, 12 SEC Players of the Year, 63 first-team All-SEC selections. So it's just, we have Shaquille O'Neal, whose son, Sharif O'Neal, plays for us. That tells you there that, Shaq had to play 4 years, and then now Sharif wants to come here and be a part of it.
Amazing.
He's very special, very talented, so I'm super excited about it.
And Ben Simmons, man, former LSU guy too, Ben Simmons. So that's another legend there in LSU. So.
You know it. Yeah. So, we got Skylar Mays drafted last year. The year before that, Tremont Waters. The year before that, we had Nas Reed. Before that was Ben Simmons. And this year,
Sharif.
we should expect. Yeah, we should be a couple guys drafted here in June from our team. And I think, again, we had a lot of talent. And that starts with the players that Coach Wade brought in: Darius Days, Trenton Watford, Cam Thomas, Javante Smart, Andre Hyatt, our starting 5, Josh LeBlanc. Those guys wouldn't have been possible without all 5 of them this season.
So last 3 things here real quick. So our show, the NR show, we partnered up with my aunt's company like 3 days ago for like a promo code to help them out too. And my aunt runs a company called Eplenex Cosmetics. So if your mother or whoever, your grandmother, aunt, or wants to check it out, our promo code is NR20. So you can go check out my aunt's website if they want to order some products from them. So we recently partnered up with my aunt. So we're trying to make this show even bigger and get more traffic. And so if you guys want to check it out, the promo code is NR20. So
absolutely, I'll check it out. And again, you've done an excellent job. I'm constantly moving on the road, but I've watched a lot of your interviews. I mean, I see how hard you work, and you deserve all the success that's coming your way. So if I can ever help, I know a lot of guys, if I can get them on here, I'll be glad to make it happen for you.
And the last 2 things here, our team is part of the Hugh Jackson Foundation. Obviously, former NFL coach, but he's trying to get back into coaching. We're trying to help them prevent human trafficking and making sure that the community stays safe and the kids make the right choices. So I'm going to send you the page so you can check out the foundation. So I just want to bring that up. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and essential workers right now?
Oh, just, thank you, for an amazing job. It's obviously it's been, a hectic time for them, but, they've had to put their lives as well as, their time on the line in order to keep all of us safe during this pandemic and during this time. And, I'm just super thankful for them and, being able to, have them, help get out of this pandemic as fast as we've been able to. I think they've done an excellent job. I mean, everyone was caught off, off guard and surprised, but they managed to help a lot of people and save a lot of lives. So I'm very thankful for them.
So there it is. Yeah, well said. And this wraps up episode 740 for the NR Hour Sports Show with former NBA player / overseas player Vernon Hamilton. Obviously, he's now a coach, assistant coach at LSU University. Man, don't sleep on this team. They're going to be back next year. And don't sleep on Vernon Hamilton. He's going to be considered, hopefully, for a head coaching job in the future. You keep up the great work. And we would like to have you back as a returning guest so you can meet the full team at some point. And also, we would like to get Coach Wade on the show if you don't mind. That'd be awesome.
No doubt. Hey, listen, Coach Wade he's hilarious. He'd love it. He would definitely come on, man. Coach Wade. We got a couple of recruits right now. We're trying to land, but in the next couple of weeks or so, I'll see if I can get it done.
All right, thank you, and thank you again for coming on, and keep up the great work. Yep.
All right.
All right.